Howdy folks, Keywii here, and welcome back to Suzerain, a safe space in which will be awesome, where we are, of course, just doing some constitutional bill signing stuff. It's a happy day. It's a good day for everyone involved, and we're not at all going to ruin the country or die. Never again will we be assassinated, yeah? Reform Committee started preparations. Vice President Vectern reported that, along with Lucian Gallade, the committee has started on the written aspects of the package as per the needs outlined previously. This will soon get the legal team involved to complete the writing process. The needed 150 signatures for the proposal has started to be collected within the USP. Okay, I need support, is what I need. Dinner with the business council members. Restaurant Asteria, Lockhaven. We're in Lockhaven to work with the business council to assess weaknesses in the economy. Simon organized a dinner with the affluent economic figureheads of Sordland. When we arrived, the streets were bustling with activity, even though the atmosphere in the country was tense. Lockhaveners didn't seem very worried. Together with Walter Tusk, Edith Eggnock, Mikhail Evan, and Simon Hall, we entered the renowned Asteria restaurant by the coast. A short blonde man whose embroidered pocket red manager greeted us and waved his arms in excitement as he told us how pleased he was to have us in his establishment. Beaming with pride, he led us to a private room and got us seated at a large table covered for the occasion with maroon tablecloth. We were quickly served by a group of servers. Walter spoke as they started taking our orders. I recommend... Oh, wait, no. I forget everyone's voice all the time, always. I recommend the Lockhaven salmon, President. You have to taste the local delicacy here, the best in Sordland. That's his voice. He looks like he has that voice. Appreciate the advice, but I don't like salmon. Order Lockhaven salmon, order traditional Swedish bean stew, order lesbian pasta. You know what? I'll go for it. Ordered the Lockhaven salmon as the main course. The servers took their notes and asked about the second dish. Order rice. Servers placed glasses in front of each of us and served bread and water. After they were done taking orders, they quickly left us alone in the private room. Mr. President, I didn't have the possibility to thank you for coming today. Your presence means a great deal. Indeed, sir. It's an honor to dine with you. Thank you. It's great to be here with the members of the Business Council. We should thank Simon for organizing this meeting. No need for that. I hope everybody enjoys the evening. Simon gestured at the expensive-looking red wine bottle that one of the servers had just brought to the table. Mr. President. It looks amazing. Yes. I'm just gonna nod. I nodded at him. He started to carefully pour some wine in my glass and waited for me to taste it before filling it up. I took a sip. It was bitter. Honestly, it tasted like any other wine. How was it? Is the taste to your liking? A sour and delicate, vegetal character. Is it Arcasian I'm tasting? It tastes like heaven. I'm fine. It tastes like any other wine. Just be full on, like, wine connoisseur. What? No. You may be tasting the oak from the bells, or maybe it's the gooseberries. It's definitely not Arcasia, Mr. President. Simon filled up my glass. After filling everybody's glasses, Simon stood up and raised his glass. Sorry, I'm just rereading the stuff up there. I'd like to raise a toast to all of you here today. We're meeting here tonight in difficult times, but I believe that with hard work, cooperation, and trust, we will get through this period as well. I'd like to thank Mr. Rayne again for his decisiveness when it comes to economic policies. I'm sure we will stop this recession. I also thank Mr. Tusk for being here with us today. His presence is an honor. And of course, my colleagues from the Business Council, Miss Eggnock and Mr. Avon. Without you, none of this would have been possible. Let's drink to the future cooperation and growth. for a prosperous Sordland. Everybody raised their glass and toasted each other. After a couple more minutes, the servers arrived with our meals. The food tasted amazing. Walter was right. This place must have been the best place in all of Lockhaven. So, how did we find the food of the best fine dining restaurant in Lockhaven, Mr. President? Not a big fan of fancy food, but I must admit that it's very tasty. Fine food is like a fine art, but this particular one is a masterpiece. It's okay. This can't get cold. This can't get old. It's an experience. The chef must be tipped. Definitely it doesn't. But I will take care of the tip. Don't you worry. Always generous when it comes to the small things. Tipping is no small thing. I actually don't like giving tips. People have salaries for a reason. But anyway, how are things going in the Maroon Palace? Pressure must have increased after you attended that funeral. Pressure was already high, not much has changed. It did, but it was the right decision. I have to say, the future is looking good. It's tough, but our work on the new constitution continues. We all hope so. As we conversed with Mikhail, I heard Walter raise his voice in an apparent argument with Edith and Simon. We both stopped to listen. Arcasia knows the right way of doing business. Their approach to the world is real and raw. I prefer the cutthroat approach in comparison to the niceties. Well... Fuck, I forget his voice. I mean, it's no small... It's a nice country to visit, too. I have traveled there often on business trips. The attitude on... All countries are nice to visit if you have the cash. Stay silent. Money does turn the world around. Travel is the least you can buy with it. Certainly not all. Exactly. How about the people who don't have the extra cash to spend? Money does turn the world around. Travel is the least you can buy with it. Certainly not all. Certainly not all countries. If the globe isn't worth our time and our attention, they won't change unless profitability increases. Walter's classic absolutes, but I do agree with you investment-wise. There are only a select group of countries that guarantee a return on investment. Talking of which, we are preparing our visit for Agnolia and Welland, where we will meet their governments to settle our trade negotiations. Make sure to lay a good foundation for our negotiations to start on. Looking forward to these visits, but it's been a long time since I left the country. Make sure to lay a good foundation for our negotiations to start on. Our talented team is led by Mr. Whiskey. His wealth of knowledge and extensive connections will aid in our endeavor. By the way, I saw that the construction of the highway has already started. I have my concerns about the company, but I hope they do a good job. I expect that the project will bring new investments from Magnolia. The mood is already becoming positive. I have to congratulate Mr. Rayne for starting such a massive project. Thank you for your support, Mr. Avon. No need for that, Mr. Avon. The state is just doing its job. Hope the investment returns will be great. We all hope so, Mr. President, but I think it will work out. Mr. Hall also deserves credit, of course, our great economy minister. Is there a joke coming? Why, I thought you said you were great at economy. He laughed. I have heard that you've bought a new villa, Simon. I don't comment on rumors, but I'll make an exception since we are among friends. It's true. You're doing a great job, so you deserve it. A new villa is a bit much, especially in this economy when people are suffering. Where is the property? Why? A new villa is a bit much. So what? My car collection is nearing the 40 mark. They're all old-timer models. Maybe it shows overcompensation somewhat. Everybody's free to do whatever they want. I always advocate against ostentatious behavior. Money shouldn't be wasted for luxury. How can you speak like that? I always advocate against ostentatious behavior. Ostentatious. Don't expect the rich to become modest in the near future. That would be a pipe dream. Some people are more sensible. I believe balance is possible. The gap between the rich and the poor is the root cause of this. We'll see about that. I believe balance is possible. I agree. Edith, who was sitting to my left, gently put her hand over my arm for a few seconds. Come on, let's not talk about finances or politics for now. We came here to relax. She turned to Walter and Simon. Isn't that right, gentlemen? Chairman of CBS. They nodded at her and took a sip of their drinks. She slightly leaned toward him. So, Mr. Rayne, why don't you tell us about what's behind that strong character of yours? I've heard that you were brought up in the capital and experienced all the power shift as it happened. Is that right? It must have been tough. I try to leave my past behind and focus on today. It's who we have become that matters. It was a difficult time in the capital, but I've learned a lot about politics. I didn't suffer much thanks to my family. We didn't have much but we were stable. It's who we have become that matters. That's what I say after a good night of drinking. I never met your family, Mr. President. How are they doing, if you don't mind me asking? Not to talk about my family. We don't talk much since I became the president. They're doing great. We have no problems. Prefer not to talk about my family. I understand. Family is everything. My advice would be to make sure that Frank has a solid relationship with you. He is your future after all. I said I don't want to talk about my family. I'm trying my best to be a good father to him. He seems to be somewhat introverted. He's going through a teenager period. It's difficult to connect with him. He's a little shy. He's going through the teenager period. Wish that my son's biggest problem. Darren seemed to be doing well. I saw that his yacht party in Benfey made the local news. Well, the rascal didn't even ask for permission to use the yacht and just took it. He basically stole it. Good news is that I finally convinced him to go to university. He will study economics in Lockhaven Business School. That's a good choice. Having a degree in Sordland separates you from the rabble. And we especially need more people who understand economics. Talking of which, it's great that we have another leader who actually studied economics and understands it, unlike Mr. Alfonso. Look at what he caused. Studying doesn't get you to the finish line. Alfonso was an inspiration for all reformists. We are all in this mess because of him. His political failure nearly destroyed us. We are here because of him. I don't think we had a chance if he hadn't screwed up. I don't think we had a chance if he hadn't screwed up. A correction, it wasn't his policies that destroyed him, it was the old god. What do you mean? I always had a gut feeling about his sudden fall. Of course it was. They are a big threat. I believe that too. He threatened their economic power base over the country through a vast privatization plan. They removed him and backed you after. Walter, stop with the conspiracy theories. I think we've had enough drinks. Everyone went quiet. After a long silence, followed by some chit-chat, Walter ordered a bottle of whiskey. That's a good-looking bottle. The waiters brought one of the finest Arcasian whiskeys. It was time for a toast. Toast. I'm not going to drink. Simon, would you give a toast again? No, I'll give the toast. I stood up to give a toast. I raise to our health and happiness, to a constructive and beneficial future, to our wealth and success, to an equal society without class differences, a Morgan West core. Maybe, definitely, maybe not, maybe, definitely, maybe not. To a constructive and beneficial future. They say hope dies last to the future. Raised. I think it's time we call it a night. Edith stood up. Most of us were a little tipsy at this point. I want to thank you, Mr. President, for joining us, and you, Simon, for putting all this together. Thank you for being here. Thank you, Edith, for joining with a bunch of ugly rich men. It's getting late. Let's call it a night. Thank you all for being here. It was great. Thank you. Thank you for being here. No, thank you. No, thank you. I said thank you for being here. Like, everyone's just sort of aggressively thanking each other. After bidding our farewells, we slowly walked out of the restaurant. The moon was shining bright as everyone except Walter left their luxury cars. President, a moment alone, please. He called me inside the small VIP lounge. Ignore him and leave. Follow him. What do you want? Usually the Lotharberg spokesman doesn't directly comment on the administration, but I'd like to say... The fuck? My computer back there just had an error sound. But I'd like to say a few things since there was a special event. I'm all ears. Sure, if you have to. Don't want to hear your comments, Mr. Tusk. If you have to. Finally, a president that listens to the people. It won't be easy to pass a new constitution through the Assembly and the Supreme Court. We could help you get it through if you, in return, help us with a few economic requests. Walter lit a cigar and took a few drags before continuing. Many in the group are disappointed in the economic direction that you took by promoting an inefficient, planned economy. Promises made during the election had to be upheld. That was the main reason behind the decision. We're certainly interested in maintaining a good relationship with Lotharberg. I won't share similar interests with Lotharberg. I could care less. Political motivations are admirable, but economics is about numbers and the current reality, not the past. He looked me in the eye. We had a deal about the first mega infrastructure project. You broke that promise and didn't award the contract to underhaul construction. This action led to a huge disappointment in the group. What can be done to amend the situation? The opinions of the Lotharberg group don't concern me. I will make choices on my own accord. What can be done to amend this situation? The administration would have passed a private corporation tax cut and privatized both healthcare and education. It would do wonders in the attitude of the Lotharberg towards the administration. Privatization could lead to many good things, President Rayne. It is certainly an opportunity to raise further money inside the welfare branches. From our end, the previous mishap would be cleared and confidence in the new administration from the business committee would be restored. Accept the bribe. I would want a final financial contribution from your end. I will give a private corporation tax and enable privatization in health and education. Education is important. I will make tax and privatization decisions objectively. I can't promise you anything. Because I need to fix the economy and the education. The education is what you're promising. And I know factually that you will just be like, poor people. Blah, 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 blah. Request bribe. No, the bribe won't work this time. Privatization decisions. Objectively, we can't promise anything. Oh, let's not be hasty. The recession will end if Lotharberg is on your side, Mr. President. Why can't we all just be friends? Maybe we can. I'll see what I can do. I don't think so. I have other plans for the economy. Interesting. I'll see what I can do. Excellent. Glad to hear this. The group wants a private corporation tax cut and privatization in healthcare and education. I will give, on third thought, I have to reject. I will give a private corporation tax and enable privatization in health and education. I can't do it for education. It has to be state education. It has to be. It straight up fucking has to be. Private education is part of the fucking problem in the world, don't you know? And especially health. Are you kidding? Private health? Are you an idiot? Fucking no. Too much to ask. That's a shame. I did offer you a peace branch. There was an awkward silence. All the way, President. We're here and always ready to work with you if you change your mind. Don't forget that. See, what Walter Tusk hears from me is that I'm willing to listen just to the right things. So he's just like, well, fuck you then. But also, hang on a second, I'll get back to you. Like, he wants to work with me to get his way, but I'm not going to, like, give my way on just anything, you know. There's nothing for work together on. Good evening. I'll think about it, but not now. I need to sound like I'm willing to work. Walter left and Serge came to pick me up. Enter the car. Enter the car and we drove to our residence in Lockhaven. Serge took the seaside route. Nice. News updates. Also, I'm getting real tired. I should have fucking slept or something more last night. You know, swords ban. Oh, order. Here we go. Nationwide peaceful protests. There are peaceful protests happening across the country due to recent events. If we don't contain the situation, it might escalate to more violent ones. I think peaceful protests are perfectly acceptable. If they stay peaceful. Sort of the important bit. Bill on the rights of workers being drafted. The Grand National Assembly of Sordland will vote on a bill on Thursday to protect workers' rights in Sordland that supporters are calling the most ambitious pro-labor legislation in decades, and which one USP representative has dismissed as the worst bill in the Assembly. The Workers' Protection Act has a strong support for both the PFJP and the NFP as well as labor leaders. The bill was a result of bipartisan effort from the leading figures of the PFJP as well as the Ministry of Health, led by Pascal Benawal. It was proposed to the Assembly by Representative Albin Clavin and the USP. The Workers' Protection Act amends the Labor Act by establishing a minimum wage of 2.5 SR per hour and adding guidelines on overtime work as well as safety and protection guidelines. It also extends to the rights of workers to all migrants, acknowledging their rights and workers in Sordland. The bill also makes it illegal for corporations to force workers to do unpaid overtime work. Companies will fail to abide by the rules established with the bill will be heavily fined by the government and may be forced to face legal action. Some estimates suggest costs for those firms would increase by 50% if they have to treat workers according to the proposed laws. Despite the bill coming from the governing USP, it faces huge opposition inside the party. However, with the support of the PFJP and the NFP, the bill has a high chance of passing the Assembly. President meets with Business Council. Our sources have reported that yesterday President Rayne had a meeting with the Business Council behind closed doors in Lockhaven, which later continued with a dinner in a five-star Asteria restaurant with leading figures from the council. The agenda of the meeting was not disclosed, and the contents of the meeting remain a secret, but it can be expected that President Rayne has discussed the future economic plans of his administration, as well as listening to the concerns of the leading industry figures. The outcome of the meeting will hopefully arrive quickly and with positive developments and more transparency compared to today. Like given time. Morbol mine disaster, 112 dead. Disaster hit Morbol last night when one of the main support shafts in the Morbol coal mine collapsed, trapping many coal miners inside. The collapsing structure has also started an underground fire, turning the sky black with ash and sorrow in Morbol today. As reported by the government, the current death toll sits at 112, with many other miners still trapped inside. The rescue operations are continuing without any sleep. Investigators have told us that this might have happened due to the neglect of Nadam Mining Group. Families of miners and people of Morbol showed up in protest at the site of the disaster. Coincidentally, the Workers' Rights Bill that was being drafted in the Assembly for the past few months comes too late. The eyes of Sordland are now turned to President Rayne to see his decision on the bill. So there's quite a few situations involved. Alright, so Rybel. School poisoning connected to Blutish woman. Vilma Asir, who was working at the school kitchen, was apprehended with connections to last week's school cafeteria poisoning in Rybel. The act was found to be politically motivated as the perpetrators are connected to the band Blutish Freedom Party. Asir is suspected to have been an active member of the Blutish Freedom Front since the start of this year. She has been sentenced to 60 years in prison. Oh, then that's fine. The situation handled itself. Like, people are dead, yeah, but, like, I don't have to worry about, dealing with the Blutish Front Party, whatever. I don't have to, further bans are required, because she's in jail. Read the report from Arvory. Car bomb attack in Arvory. A car parked in Agno-Sordish-dominated neighborhood in the outskirts of Arvory has exploded. Arvory police reported that there were no casualties or injuries. The initial investigation found that the car was rigged with a time bomb. No perpetrators have been found connected to the incident so far. Further investigations are ongoing, and details have not been shared with the public. Haven't been shared? Budget allocation of the government of Sordland. Alright, so we got 6 minutes left in the episode, and I need to lie down, because apparently I should have slept more last night. It was So it's been cold the last like 4 days. Well, not cold, but it's been like pleasant. So it was like at 20 degrees roughly the last 4 days or so. But last night it was back to hot again, so I didn't sleep very well. So I'm just gonna end the episode here. Hope you guys don't mind the short episode today. But hey, we had our business meeting. We read some news. It was cool. Anyway, that'll be it for this one. Thank you guys so much for watching. Of course, I'm Keywii. Have yourself a delightful day. I love you all. Goodbye.